Welfare isn't the solution to family breakdown. Government isn't the family children need. The solution is undoing the cultural revolution of critical theory and restoring the institutions which rely on a healthy, ordered view of motherhood to sustain them. We should actually celebrate and advocate for motherhood, not just the mothers we love. To do so will vastly shrink the need for and reach of government into our families. And that is a conflict of interest for those employed by government and nourished by our culture's addiction to expanding its reliance on government. You will never hear them say, "Let's make mothers more important in our society." You will hear them promise free contraception, free abortion, free childcare, free public schooling, and free aged care facilities. You will rarely hear them advocate for easy or free adoption, income splitting in a marriage, incentives for stay-at-home mothers or grandmothers, vouchers for school choice or homeschooling, or multi-generational living as a more loving and economical solution for aged care than institutions. You certainly won't hear them offer tax deductions for church offerings designated to empowering local congregations to be a viable alternative to government welfare. I'll unpack that idea more a little bit later, but you get the point. The government is not interested in shrinking its services or power, primarily because it reduces our addiction and dependence upon them, which is bad for their employment prospects and power. We all know the pressure they are under to sustain and increase the public service sector, which in turn feeds our culture's addiction to the harmful drug of government welfare and services. Today, commercializing Mother's Day is a hypocritical gesture from a consumerist culture which promotes individualism and dependence on government welfare over the God-designed interdependence of marriage, family, and church relationships. If we as a society truly valued motherhood, we would promote and subsidise mothers raising their own children instead of outsourcing parenthood to strangers in childcare centres at the earliest age possible and then factory-style mass schooling until they were ready to get a job and leave home. The message being communicated to women in this culture is that the best years of your life should be spent in an office, climbing the corporate ladder and competing with men, and that motherhood is of so little value to society or your personal satisfaction, it's what you only do in your spare time. Instead of celebrating maternity, society subsidises therapeutic interventions to prevent conception and calls that empowering. The message is that fertility will be there later and motherhood should be delayed as an undesirable obstacle to everything else a woman could be doing, from sex without consequences, which just empowers the prolonged promiscuity of both men and women beyond a woman's limited years of fertility, to a corporate career and equal pay, empowering the need for life-destroying IVF in her 40s and loneliness in her 50s and later years. One of the largest cohorts of people on the unemployment type of government welfare is women in their 50s. What a tragic embarrassment for their husbands, their families, and our culture, that with all the irreplaceable value and importance a mother can bring, they are not entirely provided for to spare them from having to work in a for-profit industry. How's your sacred cow hamburger going? A bit too rare? Now, I'm not saying women don't want to work or aren't fulfilled, at least in some temporary ways, by career success. And I'm not saying they shouldn't work outside the home. I know firsthand that women who don't work outside the home work tirelessly at home. What I am saying is our culture has been vandalised and existentially threatened by critical theory, which paints the high calling and sacred vocation of motherhood as a prison, as slavery,